Rosa the Beloved One, by Hakjin Kim. Rosa is running down the stairs out of breath to catch the subway train, but she misses it by a second. Left all alone, she gets panicked because she knows that it runs at 20-minute interval. There is no one around at that time, and she needs to make up her mind whether she gets out of there or wait for the next one. For a few seconds she regrets that she didn't join her friends who were in a hurry to go home from the cafeteria, where they stopped by for a late-night snack. At that point, Rosa sees a couple walking down the stairs from the opposite direction. She can feel easy for a moment because they are elderly people. While glancing sideways at them, Rosa steps back to the stairs little by little just in case. They look normal, but Rosa can't read their faces in the distance. She just sees them get dressed in blue jeans and white shirt. She thinks that they stayed long in a cafe after an outing and hurried to go home but missed the train. By the way, they don't stop after touching the ground and even come to Rosa at a fast pace. All of a sudden Rosa becomes aware that she should get out. She runs up the stairs to the road and runs hard. They seem to come after her, screaming, as if they have something to give her back. That makes Rosa run faster and faster. Rosa opens her eyes in the morning light, hearing her mom call from downstairs. She wonders how she lies down in her bed, and all she can remember is that the elderly people in their early 60s chased her. In the kitchen, her father, Brian Miller, dressed in his suit, sits at the table for breakfast. "Good morning, Dad. How did I come home?" Rosa asks. "Don't you remember? You looked so exhausted and your face was all wet. I worried about you so much," and her mother says. "You should call me at the bar for a ride. Don't ever come home alone that late at night. You know, you were so reckless." "Sorry, Mom. It won't happen again. I promise," Rosa says with a shrug. Anne nods her head to Rosa. "Are you gonna come home right after school today?" "I don't know." "Why?" "Our repairman is coming to fix the spring door at 5. If you are home early, I'll stop by a grocery store," Anne says. "Oh, I asked your grandma to stay with us while your dad is out of town. She is a guardian angel, you know." In fact, Linda Stewart, her grandmother, had worked for the government briefly and then PE teacher. Even if she's in her mid-60s, she looks sturdy enough to beat any attacker with a broomstick. She has no fear of humans. "All right. I'll be home before 5, Rosa grins at Anne. "Thanks." "Oh, I told him my son's home, you know," Anne winks at Rosa. Anne always bears in mind that Rosa is the only child who has no backup except her parents. When she says to strangers about her family, Rosa becomes a son. As a good girl, Rosa understands her mother's nonsense. After breakfast, Brian walks to the garage. "Rosa, get on the car. I'll get you to school." "I'll ride my bike to school, Dad." "Thanks," Rosa responds. "Okay. Take care of your mom while I'm away for just 3 days," Brian says. "Don't worry about us. I will keep her safe. And Linda is coming to stay with us. She knocks a stranger down with a single blow, you know." "Take care of yourself, Dad. Bye for now." Rosa takes her helmet from the side table, flanked by the couch, and goes out the front door. She begins to pedal her bike. When she arrives at the entrance of the school, she finds an elderly woman among a crowd of students in the schoolyard. At first glance, she seems to be nobody, but soon Rosa recognizes that she is that woman whom Rosa saw on the subway platform. Rosa gets shocked, feeling her heart pounding, and yet she becomes curious about what brings the woman to the school, though she thinks that it is nothing but a coincidence. Sometime later, when the class begins, Rosa sees the woman enter the next room. "Did you see the woman pass by the window?" Rosa asks Alice, a classmate, as well as her best friend. "No, but if you talk about the next room, I think she's a substitute teacher. I heard Ben had to be home for his wife today, so she must be the one for his class," Alice answers. Rosa tries to forget the woman despite being annoyed by her presence. When school is over and everybody hurries to leave school, Rosa sees the woman again in the schoolyard. But thankfully, she doesn't seem to know who Rosa is. Rosa gets home a lot earlier than she was asked in the morning. She parks her bike inside the garage and walks down the driveway to the mailbox. She has rarely done this, but to feel safe, she has to check if she's been chased by someone. Rosa sees no one in the street over the mailbox, and she goes back to the garage and closes its shutter. After checking every window, she sits on the couch with her cell phone muted. She looks out the windows, which are tinted so visitors can't see inside. Her meticulous mother spent some money for every window pane in the house to be tinted. Now Rosa feels relieved from psychological threat. At 5 o'clock the doorbell rings. Rosa approaches the front door without any noise and peeps through a wide-angle lens on the door. She sees a man who says his name. She almost grabs the doorknob, but she scans the man for a second because he looks a little familiar to her. Suddenly, she finds out that he is the man of last night. At once she covers her mouth with her hands to keep herself from hiccups that occur when she gets chills. She stays put with her cell phone off and keeps watching him through the lens. She sees that he takes out his cell phone after pressing the bell once more. "Hello, this is Paul Parker from P Hardware. I think no one is home," he says. "Oh, I'm so sorry. My son should be home. Do you mind if you wait for me? I'll be home in 10 minutes. Or do you want to set the date for your next visit?" Again, "I'm so sorry," Anne answers. "I'll wait. Don't bother," he says. As Rosa hears their conversation, she seems to be frozen on the spot. But she tries to convince herself that he would not remember Rosa, as long as she doesn't talk to him first. She takes a deep breath and says to herself that she should not think about her running away from the subway station. Nonetheless, she doesn't open the front door, thinking of her mother's frowning face. After hearing Anne lift the shutter of the garage, Rosa goes upstairs to her room and locks the door.